It's always nice to be in a brand new car, to see all the new carbon fibre, see all the detail of the new bits. It's very quickly, it becomes very normal to look at, but when you really get into the finer details of this car, you see how sharp it is, where the design philosophy has gone, and essentially the cosmetic side of things are very similar. So we're very focused on getting the car in anger and really seeing how it performs, because ultimately this is a evolution of the car we had last year, with all its bad habits gone, hopefully. I feel part of the family now. I think it's my third year here. It's a bit more of a senior role. There's more pressure on me, but there's more pressure on my shoulders individually, what I want to achieve. So big things ahead. We're all working to achieve the same objective here, and really focusing on this year and the performance of the car. Very tense times ahead for the next few months. Very focused on fitness. I think it's a big part of a Formula One driver to get the rest after the season, but equally maintain the fitness level, but rebuild that structure, and get yourself in good physical shape ahead of testing, which is the most important time of the year to make sure you're strong. When you're doing 2 or 3 days at a time, the team rely on a lot of laps from you and a lot of information, and you need to be sharp at the end as you are at the beginning of the day. But I enjoy sport. It's a nice time to socialise, a nice time to spend time with friends, and to mix it up and keep yourself active, keep you sharp, because ultimately when you're racing, that's what it's all about.
I think we're quite optimistic. I mean, none of us will know really where any of our cars are until Melbourne, but there's no reason for us to believe that we shouldn't be as competitive as the back end of last season. I mean, if you go historically for Force India, every year we've improved. When Vijay bought the team initially, we had 2 of our drivers fighting for last place, and the last race of the year we were fighting for first place. So it's a remarkable turnaround for the team, and I think we should be hoping that we can continue that program into 30. The latest situation really is that we want Paul to do the baseline programs in Jerez, which we feel will be beneficial anyway for the team and whoever we bring in as the second and third drivers. And the shareholders are looking into it as we speak. Probably after Jerez, certainly before Barcelona, we'll announce the 2 drivers. And that will be the key thing. I mean, today is about launching the VJM06 and introducing 2 new partners, which is very important for us from the point of view of bringing on TW Steel, bringing on Chatham, and introducing for the first time for Force India, a brand product. Yes, contrary to some reports. Yes, it is. And I think that, be able to actually have lifted the commercial side of the team and its awareness and its brand and everything else, along with the performance, is actually, from our point of view, very gratifying. It means that we're finally rowing with both oars as a team goes forward.
The off-seasons have been getting shorter and shorter. Finishing the Grand Prix season at the end of November means we don't have very much time, so we've had to lengthen it by stopping development on the former year's car and starting the development of this car a bit earlier. We stopped the latter half of last season and started development on this year's car, which is something we had to do in order to assure that we would continue where we left off. Yeah, absolutely. The regulations haven't changed. I expect 2013 to be even more competitive than 2014. Understanding the tires was a big part of how competitive the season became in 2012. I think that will still be an issue in 2013. There were times where 6, 7, 8 places on the grid were separated by 0.2 of a second, and I expect that to be the same in 2013. Yeah, it's crucial. We use our drivers as a feedback mechanism to help with the development of the car. And if you do have continuity and consistency, it's much easier to compare what we had this year to the evolution and the developments we've made for 2013. So it's very crucial to have that consistency and continuity in at least one of the drivers.
Well, it's ground up new design, new chassis. We elected to go that route, try and get all the gains we could. There's a lot of different concepts under the skin. You can't see with all the bodywork on, but it's quite a bit different. Push the guys quite hard in a few areas. So there's some similarities in areas, but essentially it's a move on from what we learnt at the end of last year and taking it to another step. We haven't taken an easy route, that's for sure. We haven't rested on our laurels. We know it's a hugely competitive grid. It was last year, it's going to be even more so this year, we suspect. So we needed to take every opportunity we could to try and push the car to its limit. And I think the team's ready to do that now, and it's ready to start taking some risks in some areas. I think we've got the tools and the experience now to do that. So. A lot of it started with the end of last season. We used last season's car as a bit of a mule on the Friday running. We did a lot of development work in the background on Fridays. It was all was being utilised on this car. So we did a lot of bodywork changes, a lot of testing, a lot of checking against the model. That formed the basis of this car. And then with all the latter season understanding of the tyres, we've incorporated a wider setup range for the car, shall I say, to allow us to try and hit that sweet spot on whatever tyres are thrown at us, really, to give us a bigger window so we can make sure we can hit that sweet spot and then keep it in that zone for the length of the tyre. Well, we ran the revised construction in Brazil. It worked exactly as Pirelli had suggested it would. It was we made a few setup changes and the car seemed to respond to it, and the tyres worked well. So we were quite happy with the first step. The second step, which is the all new compounds, is something we have no experience with. We've seen all the theoretical numbers. It's going to be interesting to see where the tyres sit and how they perform. There's nothing in the data that suggests that it's going to be any easier to look after them than it was last year. So it's going to be the focus of our attention for quite a while, I think.